Hello everybody, it's your boy, the Fantasy Football Almanac, back at it with another best ball draft video. Today we're launching into a best ball draft, Best Ball Mania 3, where we have the number one pick. Best Ball Mania is the thing where you put $25 into a draft, you draft against 12 other people, and then at the end you have a chance to win $2 million, or up to $2 million, total of $10 million in prizes. So that's what we're hoping for today. We're launching in, we're getting the number one overall pick. There's only one player we could take here. His name is Jonathan Taylor. Before we get into the video, for Jonathan Taylor, in honor of Jonathan Taylor, please, if you could, go down, leave a like on this video, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you are interested and do like this video, please, please, please try and stay till the end. I'm going to be announcing a giveaway at the end. So if you are interested in something free, potentially, you'll hear about the giveaway at the end. So thank you guys all so much. And now we're going to get into the video. All right, so we got Jonathan Taylor coming off the board at 1 to me, which I'm pretty happy about. Love Jonathan Taylor. Love, love, love Jonathan Taylor. Ceiling, maybe not as high as Christian McCaffrey's, but the floor is absolutely insane. I mean, 1,800 yards last year and 20 touchdowns, and he looks to be just as good, if not better. Potentially, he could even get more receiving work, although I don't think with Nyheim Hines in the lineup, it is a little bit tough. But getting Jonathan Taylor at pick 1, I mean, it's something I absolutely love. I will take Jonathan Taylor there 10 out of 10 times. He's just absolutely the best, far and away. There's a ton of great running backs, but Jonathan Taylor's the best. There's not a single question mark. Maybe the only thing you could wonder about is they are losing their, I believe it's right guard and left tackle. They lost them in free agency. One's the Bengals and another, I don't know where they went, but and I guess you could question Matt Ryan as well, maybe a tiny bit. But at the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor is an absolute machine. I mean, this guy came out and dropped 1,800 yards. So, I mean, as you can tell, I'm pretty excited to get Jonathan Taylor. Then we got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey all coming off the board here. Jamar Chase, I think, is also really interesting. At 4, I probably prefer Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase. But both are great. Both are absolutely fantastic options. Jamar Chase is probably going to be more of a boomer bust guy, where you're getting him in weeks where he dropped 40 fantasy points pretty easily. He's attached to Joe Burrow too, and obviously Joe Burrow, absolute monster. So Jamar Chase has absolutely insane upside. I mean, he's targeted 140 times, 81 receptions, absolute monster. But he can have down weeks. I mean, it certainly is possible for Jamar Chase to have a down week or two. I think that's okay. I think that's all good, honestly. Because with the boom weeks, he could honestly win you your league. Like last year when he dropped, what was it, 46 points, like 3 touchdowns. You can expect that once or twice a season from Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson's the king, the absolute king of consistency. I mean, you can't go wrong with Justin Jefferson. He's a guy who's going to get you, as long as he's not hurt, 1,600 yards, most likely. And 8 or 9 touchdowns at least. I mean, he could even get more, realistically. I think Justin Jefferson's a guy that could definitely get 12 touchdowns this year. I mean, definitely deserving of a top 5 pick. And then you kind of see a little bit of running backs coming off the board. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, and Dalvin Cook. Stephon Diggs coming off the board. And Stephon Diggs is a guy who I'm targeting pretty heavily. I think last season he did kind of regress a tiny bit from his boom season in 2020. But that is something you could expect when you have such a great season, and they are leaving behind a massive amount of vacated targets. I mean, Cole Beasley gone, Emmanuel Sanders gone. Who's taking their place? What's his name? Gabe Davis. I mean, he definitely will. Gabriel Davis will be taking some targets, most certainly. But at the end of the day, Stephon Diggs, absolutely phenomenal player. We got Devontae Adams coming off the board at 10. Devontae Adams is a guy I personally do like Devontae Adams a lot. I did like him a lot on the Packers. If he were still on the Packers, I would gladly take him at 10. I mean, I would probably be taking him pick 6, honestly. But now that he's away from the Packers and in Las Vegas, Derek Carr's still a phenomenal. I'm pretty not phenomenal. I'm not going to say phenomenal about Derek Carr. But he's at least, I would say, a pretty underrated quarterback, maybe like quarterback 14 or something like that in terms of pure skill. Their offense is a lot more loaded. I mean, people looking at the Packers offense, it's pretty desolate. I mean, you have Alan Lazard, or last year you had Alan Lazard, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I mean, is that really any competition for Devontae Adams? Now he's facing Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs at the backfield. I mean, him and Aaron Jones, in terms of receptions, are probably pretty much cancel each other out. But you also have Darren Waller. I mean, I can't get behind it. We got Mark Andrews coming off the board, Mike Evans. We have a fair amount of running backs coming off the board too. It is pretty interesting. Mike Williams coming off the board real early. Wow. Oh man. All right, so there's potential for us to get Tyreek Hill here, T. Higgins. Tyreek does come off the board, but here I think we probably will go. Leonard Fournette gets taken. Javonte Williams is soaring up draft boards now a bit. We're gonna go T. Higgins here. I feel like T. Higgins, classic pick at the 2-3 turn. I mean, I'm always happy to scoop him up here. And then here's where it gets a little weird. I'm thinking about probably going Nick Chubb here. Yeah, Nick Chubb's the pick. Nick Chubb's got to be the pick. I'm kind of just low on Javonte this year, I think, because I think, well, the workload he was getting will most certainly increase. I mean, there's no way he's getting the same amount of attempts as Melvin Gordon again. He should have closer to 300 attempts than 200 attempts, most likely. I'd put him at 250, but I'm a little concerned with Melvin Gordon there. I think he will take away the ceiling of Javonte. If Melvin Gordon is to get injured, Javonte's an absolute steal. Javonte immediately soars up to being a top 10 pick. I mean, I think in terms of just looking at his dynasty versus redraft, Javonte Williams in dynasty is most likely a top 5 player. I mean, I wouldn't rather have him than Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, or Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Kyle Pitts and Swift as well, but those are the only players that I would really rather have than Javonte Williams at this point. We do have Michael Pittman coming off the board at 29 as well. This guy getting a team 3 wide receivers. Mr. Whiskey Rider taking 3 wide receivers, reaching on 2 of them. You guys get Justin Jefferson though, so I can't blame him too much, but it's interesting to see. We're probably going to have a lot of wide receivers coming off the board. I feel like that usually generally happens in round 3. You get receivers all the way from 30 to about 48. But over here is really good because the wide receivers over here are still actually fantastic. I mean, there's potential I could end up with Jerry Jeudy. There's potential I could end up with. I mean, I could definitely get Chris Godwin. But if I really wanted to reach, take Chris Godwin potentially. There's a lot of different players I could take. Alvin Kamara coming off the board at 32. It is nice to see his ADPs rising again at least a little bit. I do think Alvin Kamara, when he was going at the 3-4 turn, it's a little bit scary. I do think Alvin Kamara is a good value there, 100%. Then we got James Conner and Zeke. Zeke coming off the board pretty early. Zeke, I just think touching Zeke is something that it just feels gross, you know? Like taking Zeke at pick 34 especially. I mean, Zeke is a guy who's always going to get it done. He always has in fantasy. He's never been injured. He's always gets some receptions. He's consistent. Gets like 5 yards a carry every single carry. I've never seen Zeke go down, like 1 yard into a play. I mean, obviously I have, but Zeke's always getting his 5 yards. Not a guy who's going to break off these long runs, but always so consistent. The problem with Zeke is that he's got Tony Pollard right on his ass. Oh, Cam Akers coming off the board. He's got Tony Pollard right on his ass. I mean, you have a guy like Tony Pollard, a guy who got almost 400 yards receiving last year, on your ass. I mean, that's taking potentially a ton of workload from you. Zeke can really only go down, I would say. I mean, he was running back 6 last year, which sounds crazy because everyone thought he had such a terrible season. It still finishes the RB6. But he just feels gross. He just doesn't feel like a guy I could trust, at this point at least. Now we got Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Marquise, and unfortunately, Cam Akers. I've been really thinking about Cam Akers recently. I think I have risen so much on Cam Akers. I don't honestly get why Cam Akers is so low. I think I'm going to be taking him a lot higher. Sure, he doesn't have the receiving ceiling of some of these other guys, like James Conner, like Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne. Maybe has a similar receiving upside to Zeke this year. Maybe, getting like 300 yards receiving, which is still very, very good. But Cam Akers is one of the best offenses in the entire league. He came back off a torn Achilles and played the same season. I mean, that just doesn't happen. That I've never seen that before. I don't think anybody's ever seen that before. It actually blows my mind. And because of that, he played worse, obviously. That's just what's going to happen. And now people have started to fade him. They started to fade him because he tore his Achilles and came back in the same season and played bad. What do you expect? He tore his Achilles. So he's coming back into an absolutely phenomenal offense. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. I'm gonna start pounding the drum on Cam Akers. I think a lot more. I'm gonna be taking him a lot more in this area, probably right after James Conner. I think James Conner is probably better because James Conner was getting every single touchdown in that offense last year. And although touchdowns are dependent year to year, they don't always go your way every single year. But James Conner had such a nose for the end zone. It was actually ridiculous. And he's getting pretty much every touch in that offense now with Chase Edmonds gone. There's really nobody else there. So here we are up in 2 picks. I will interrupt my talk a little bit. P-Boy 987 taking Breece Hall. It is a little unfortunate. Here we're going to go George Kittle most likely. I imagine he'll still be on the board. We'll probably go George Kittle and Lamar, honestly. Darnell Mooney? Wow, okay. Here we will go George Kittle. And then I'm torn, honestly. Maybe Chris Godwin could fall to us. Even though I do really like the value on Chris Godwin right now. I think for sure we're going to take Kittle. First pick. And then here, there really isn't. Maybe David Montgomery. Honestly, I have been liking Montgomery a lot more. The drop off between Lamar and presumably Joe Burrow is not that bad. It really isn't that bad. Whereas the drop off between David Montgomery and Elijah Mitchell is much, much worse. So, yeah, we're going to take David Montgomery here. I think it's the right pick. We solidify a lot of our team now. We just really need a nice QB or two in the next couple rounds. So in the next round, hopefully we'll end up with Joe Burrow. I would think. But these quarterbacks have been falling. I mean, Pat Mahomes coming off the board at pick 53. I imagine Lamar's not off the board till pick 56, but probably around 56. Lamar will be off the board. Rashad Bateman coming off here. This guy could have pretty easily had a Mark Andrews and Lamar stack if he wanted to. It would have had to have reached, but that's okay. 56, Lamar probably will go off the board here, and he does. It makes sense. Lamar is a quarterback, again, I really, really like this year. I think people don't value the rushing upside that quarterbacks have enough, honestly. That's why I've been taking Jalen Hurts absolutely everywhere. I mean, Jalen Hurts is pretty much being drafted near his ceiling. Kyler Murray coming off the board, pick 57. Speaking of, we got a lot of quarterbacks coming off now, which is a little bit worrying. But a lot of these guys in the middle portion do already have their QBs. So we really just have to worry about the 3 people right before us. We could get sniped on Joe Burrow. And if we do, I probably would want to wait until 96, 97, depending on what happens, depending on how the board falls. Brendan Cook's coming off the board. Brendan Cooks is a guy, another one of these guys. This guy, Kale Dak, I mean, I guess his name is Kale, so he likes to do things that not a lot of people like, eating kale being one of them. But he takes Zeke and Brandon Cooks, 2 guys that nobody wants to touch. They feel gross. They're just not fun to touch. But they're going to return their value where you take them, almost no matter what. I mean, Brandon Cooks, he is old, yeah, but he put up 1,100 yards last season. He's a guy I think is pretty reliable, probably one of the most reliable people in the entire league. I mean, that was Allen Robinson last year, and look what happened to him. So I guess, nothing's really a guarantee in fantasy football. Nothing's ever a guarantee in fantasy football. But Brandon Cooks is about as safe as you can get, but he doesn't have the flashy upside, so to speak, that some of these other players like Jerry Jeudy have. And I think that's okay. We got A.J. Dillon coming off the board, Juju. Got a lot of people coming off the board. Just real quick while we're watching, please, if you guys could go down, leave a like on this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. You could always change your mind later. It would really, really mean the world to me. I mean, that would just make my day. So if you could, that would be great. If not, totally understand. But either way, back into this draft, we got Josh Jacobs coming off the board at pick 66. Let's see who American Rugby goes. Josh Jacobs is a guy I think is pretty interesting. I really, to start the offseason, I really like Josh Jacobs. I was like, wow, before the draft and everything. And then they go out there, dress Zamir White. I was a little concerned. But I think here is like right around where he should go. Maybe I'd probably prefer him over AJ Dillon or Elijah Mitchell just because the ceiling is higher. AJ Dillon does probably have the highest ceiling though out of these three picks because if Aaron Jones goes down, he automatically solidifies himself as a top 10 running back. Honestly, he could even be a top 5 running back. Whereas Josh Jacobs does not have that same ceiling, but Josh Jacobs has such a secure floor. I think Josh Jacobs in best ball versus Josh Jacobs in redraft is a little bit different, but I think he's a much better redraft product than he's a best ball product. Same thing with a lot of these guys. I think the same thing about Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon is a guy who's really, really strong in best ball, but maybe not as strong in redraft. I think he still is really, really strong in redraft, and I would advise taking him above his ADP, even maybe even here. I would take him over DeAndre Swift most likely. But okay, so we are up here. We got a little bit of a wide receiver run going on here. Antonio Gibson still on the board. It is possible we take him. Here we are going to go Joe Burrow first. That was part of our plan, and we are really, really happy that Joe Burrow made it to us, which is nice. And then there's two guys I really like, whether that be Antonio Gibson. See, the problem with Antonio Gibson is the reason why I'm not going to take him here is because that would leave 3 of my running backs for the Week 14 bye. So here, I'm always torn between D-Hop and Drake London. We're going to go Drake London here. I think I waited a bit too long to make that pick and settle in. TJ Hawkins coming off the board at pick 74. Absolutely massive reach. Let's see, have there been a lot of reaches? I really haven't been paying attention to the board much. DK Metcalf going all the way at pick 60. That's very, very low for him. Although I do kind of understand it. I do think DK Metcalf is the kind of wide receiver who was at least a little bit dependent on Russell Wilson. I've drafted DK Metcalf in my redraft league each of the past few years. I really like him. But this last year I didn't draft him. So I drafted him his rookie year and his sophomore year, but did not draft him his junior year or his third season. But I think now without Russell Wilson, it is like a tiny bit scary. I mean, Drew Lock does have a cannon for an arm. Absolutely terrible quarterback, but a cannon for an arm. And that is DK's style. So I can understand drafting DK, and at 60, I probably would have to take him too. Just because at that point, I mean, I haven't been taking like any DK this year, but that's got to be a value at this point. That's pretty much what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for DK to become a value. I think he is. I would probably rather have him than Brennan Cooks just because of the ceiling. Yeah, again, what I was talking about Brennan Cooks, it's just like eating your vegetables, It sucks, but you got to do it. It's the same thing with DK Metcalf now at this point. Absolutely terrible situation, but the upside is really, really high. Now we have a lot more quarterbacks coming off the board, so it is good we got Joe Burrow at pick 72. I'm not a fan of the Drake London pick that I just made, honestly. Realistically, I think my Antonio Gibson excuse was weak. I think I should have gone Antonio Gibson, especially because Drake London also has a Week 14 bye. I think that was a dumb excuse on my part, and I think I most likely should have gone Antonio Gibson, especially now that all these running backs are coming off the board. I do consider Antonio Gibson better than a lot of the guys after him. We got Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is really interesting. I haven't really been taking too much of him, but honestly, I think he's a very, very interesting player. I mean, he's in an offense where he's most likely not going to get a lot of receptions. Most likely. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts throwing to you. You're probably not going to get too many receptions just because he's going to be running the ball instead of dumping it off to his running back because that's what rushing quarterbacks do. That's why J.K. Dobbins doesn't have a lot of receiving work. All those type of players. They don't really get a lot of receiving work because the quarterback just scrambles. It's the same thing Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, all those situations. So I don't think he'll get a lot of receiving work. But Miles Sanders is fairly talented, He's got 5 yards per carry each of the last 2 seasons. But the reason why he's 5 yards per carry is because they run an insane rushing offense, a rushing style offense. At least partially. I think Miles Sanders is a talented running back, though, who will obviously have more touchdowns than he did last season because it's virtually impossible for him to have less. He had less touchdowns than Andrew Thomas on the Giants last season. Which is pretty interesting. Chris Olave coming off the board, 87. I have risen so much on Chris Olave. Chris Olave is in a situation where he's probably going to be the only wide receiver in that offense getting actually very strong targets. I mean, Chris Olave going ahead of Michael Thomas in this draft. Him and Jarvis Landry, especially if Michael Thomas is not healthy. If Michael Thomas does come back healthy, it is possible. But I am really concerned about Michael Thomas. He's somebody I really have not been drafting whatsoever. He does have access to a very elite ceiling, and I think there is a case to be made that you should take Michael Thomas. But me personally, I can't justify it. I can't justify taking Michael Thomas because he hasn't been available at all the last 2 seasons, and his availability doesn't really come down to health as much as it does to him just being a baby, pretty much. I mean, it is his health too, but I think it is a little bit of both. And when you have that situation where you have to be worried about a potential head case, you don't want to deal with that. I mean, Michael Thomas absolutely phenomenal his 2019 season, won Offensive Player of the Year, I think at least. Actually, I don't know. Oh, that was Christian McCaffrey. No, Christian McCaffrey had to have won it that year. But Michael Thomas actually had such an insane year. And then after that, just completely fell off. Damien Harris coming off the board at pick 92. Damien Harris had 15 touchdowns last year. Probably not going to happen again. But that's okay. Here on the board, I guess that is a good thing we did not go Antonio Gibson, because right here, Chase Edmonds is staring at us in the face. We secure our last running back. Most likely, I really wouldn't want to take any more after this. And then we could just hit these wide receivers. Hit as many wide receivers as we can. Devin Singletary coming off the board. Chase Edmonds. I might honestly go Dallas Goedert here. No, I don't think that's smart. Here, we're going to be getting more of these wide receivers. We're going to swing for the fences again. We're going to go Sky Moore. Now we pretty much have all of our running backs that we drafted. Maybe we could take one more very, very late, like Tyrion, like an Algier. But other than that, we pretty much have all our running backs. Now we just hit as many wide receivers as we can. I really just hope for the best. I mean, I'm just trying really, really hard. If I would actually be so happy. It'd make my day. Put a nice smile on my face. If we could get Christian Watson. Oh my god. I say this every draft. I say this actually every draft. But Christian Watson is my guy. I mean, he's my guy this season. I think he is the best value in the entire draft, and it's not close. He's coming in to one of the best offenses in the entire league. Historically, Aaron Rodgers has been one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Going into his age 38 season, but he's won back-to-back MVPs. Won 13 games, I think each of the last 2 seasons. They've been a 1 seed each of the last 2 seasons. And Christian Watson, they traded up to get him. They traded up to 35 to grab, or 34 to grab Christian Watson. So Christian Watson, absolutely phenomenal situation. Talent also there. He played with Trey Lance at NDSU. Didn't really do as much as you would have liked to see in college. But it's more about, with him, the intangibles and what you could mold him into. That's why it is a little scary for him year one. But he did play 4 years in college, which is a positive in this case because it gives him more time to develop and grow as a player and grow older. And now that the Green Bay Packers are, the ones taking care of him. So I honestly, I do love Christian Watson so much. Honestly, a lot of these rookie guys I really like because a lot of them are in really, really good situations where they're either the only target available, like Drake London, or Treylon Burks, or they're in really, really good situations like Sky Moore, where Sky Moore is going to be coming in and probably demanding a fair amount of target volume pretty much immediately with the absence of Tyreek Hill and also with a prolific as quarterback as Pat Mahomes. So I do think Sky Moore is another great pickup. Pretty much all those guys. Kadarius Toney, second-year player, obviously, but I like Kadarius Toney a lot too. There's a lot of guys, a lot of these rookies that I really, really like this year. I think it's a really strong wide receiver class too. So you take as many as you can, and you hope a few of them pop off. That's pretty much my philosophy. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been having that a lot recently too with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. All these rookie wide receivers have been coming to their own quicker than ever before. Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver. I mean, going at 109, I like. But honestly, I don't really like him as much as I would like a Chris Olave. Now Chris Olave's going in this draft now 2 rounds before him. But I would much rather have Chris Olave than Garrett Wilson. Just because Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson coming off the board at the 111. Actually, let me check his ADP. Wait, let me see that. I wonder if he's been going up a little bit. 117. No, he's actually still falling. So Chris Olave coming off the board earlier than we would have liked, but I don't think it's worth it to reach all the way into 97 to take him. So just not worth it. Not something I want to do. James Cook off the board at 112. James Cook and also Devin Singletary are very, very intriguing options. I prefer James Cook just because they just drafted him. But I also understand the case for Devin Singletary. I mean, Devin Singletary was the running back 2 in the last 4 weeks of the season. Obviously, they liked him the last 4 weeks of the season. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the running back 2. So I do think Devin Singletary is a pretty good option. But with the drafting of James Cook, I'm a little scared. I think it is smart to take both of these guys in separate drafts. So let's say you take Singletary in one draft, you take James Cook in another, and whichever one pops off and takes over the offense is who you ride with. That's really the philosophy I like, especially in these best ball drafts where it's like you can kind of take one of each of the guys in different drafts and see which one of them pops off, like a Kenneth Walker or Rashad Penny type situation where Rashad Penny most likely will be the starter at this point. They've came out and said that they like Rashad Penny a lot. And Kenneth Walker, they did draft him in the second round, so I did think he was going to be the starter. But all the reports in training camp are saying Rashad Penny probably will be the starter. So I'm gonna take my foot off the brake, my foot off the gas. I haven't really been taking any Kenneth Walker to be honest, so I'm fine with it anyways. Probably own like 3 shares of Kenneth Walker across like I don't know 70 leagues. So I also own like no Rashad Penny. So oh my god, we have quarterbacks flying off the board all of a sudden. 5 quarterbacks in a row. Here we are gonna take Rondell Moore most likely. Yeah, we'll take Rondell Moore, and then we're gonna take Irv Smith. We'll take our boy Irv Smith as long as he doesn't have the same buy as George Kittle, which he doesn't. So we got Rondell Moore and Irv Smith coming off the board. We'll break up this quarterback run a little bit. It's actually a pretty crazy quarterback run. Usually Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Matt Ryan are not coming off the board now. But that's good for us, honestly. It's good because we got this value with Rondell Moore a little bit. We got Irv Smith, not at a value, but that's okay. But seeing Justin Fields, Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence all coming off the board, that means these guys probably won't be taking another. As I say that, he takes another quarterback. Probably will not be taking as many quarterbacks late. So we can get a guy like Deshaun Watson late. We can get a guy. We could pair up Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson, combination like that. And have 3 actually phenomenal quarterbacks. Tyler Boyd coming off the board at 123. Tyler Boyd, a guy, it's surprising. He had more yards than I think anybody would have expected. I think he had 800 something yards, which is something nobody would have expected. Going up against T. Higgins in that offense, going up against Jamar Chase, obviously CJ Uzama, Joe Mixon gets some receiving work too, Samaje Perine. That whole offense gets a fair amount of work. And Tyler Boyd, surprisingly, came in there and got some work on himself. We got Damian Pearson and Freiermuth, Cordero Patterson coming off the board all the way at pick 126. Yeah, Cordero Patterson, another guy, eat your vegetables. He's a guy you don't want to take because last season was definitely 100% his peak. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I had Cordero Patterson last year in fantasy in my home league. I picked him up week 2. Just thinking he'd be okay, a guy who might do a little something. And he ended up being one of the craziest pickups, one of the craziest stories, honestly, in fantasy football history. I can't think of a time where a 30-year-old who's never been relevant puts up a wide receiver, 7 finish, I think it was, something like that. And he was a running back and a wide receiver. It was honestly sick. Yeah, I mean, a career punt return guy and kick return guy. But it was awesome. He will forever have a special place in my heart for what he did. I got Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers, Michael Gallup, ADP falling. It's pretty interesting to see his ADP fall like that. Tim Patrick, a guy I really don't want to own this year. I think there is room for him to have upside because he is now playing with Russell Wilson. And if he does get a lot of targets, that's okay. But in this range, I'd prefer guys with more either potential for more target upside or just straight up more targets, less competition in their offense. Tim Patrick's got competition on competition. I mean, I'm not a huge Cortland Sutton guy. I'm not a Cortland Sutton guy at all, to be honest. I like the young guys. I think I do. I think I'm biased towards the young guys in every situation because they have so much more potential. But I like Jerry Jeudy a lot more. I like KJ Hamler a lot more. I think it just makes more sense to draft guys like that because the organization spent the 15th pick on Jerry Jeudy, something like that, and they spent a second round pick on KJ Hamler. And also, Russell Wilson really, really likes the deep threat guys, and KJ Hamler legit has 4.2, 4.3 speed. He's so quick. That's what got him taken in the second round. So I really like taking KJ Hamler in these drafts because you know there's going to be some weeks where he catches a 80-yard touchdown bomb, a 50-yard touchdown bomb, and that's points right on the fantasy roster. Also, before he was injured, his rookie year or his second year, he got injured really early. But his rookie year, his target share steadily increased. They want to use him. They 100% want to use him, or at least see what he's got. I mean, he hasn't played football in a year. Usually, you're supposed to have your breakout as a wide receiver in your second year, but he couldn't because he tore his ACL. So you figured now he wants to prove himself. He wants to be able to actually play. I might ease him back into it. It's probably smart to do that, but catching some 80-yard bombs would be really nice. Travis Landry coming off the board at pick 139 would have been really nice to get him. Naheem Hines at 140. Let's see what we're going to get here. Jahan Dotson. I really like all these guys on the board. This is, I mean, unless all three of them get sniped, really perfect for our situation because our wide receivers are really not that great. Every other position we have is really, really strong, but our wide receivers are not all that. So we are hoping at least one of these guys falls, but really, really preferably two. Darrell Henderson. So two of these guys will fall here. Now it's just a question of who will fall. We'll probably take Jahan Dotson here as long as he's on the board. I was kind of hoping one of them was off because I really didn't want to have to decide. That's tough. I think they are all very similar. But here we probably will go Jahan Dotson and Joshua Palmer. Again, for one reason and for one reason only, and that's upside. I think, actually, no. No, we're going to go Jamison Crowder here. Jamison Crowder, not as old as you think. 29 years old at this current time. Very, very, in my opinion, good receiver in terms of the fact that he gets a lot of targets. I don't think he has the same upside that Joshua Palmer has. So maybe I do have some slight regret on not taking Joshua Palmer here. But I think Jamison Crowder is still a very good pickup. I mean, how can you be mad getting Jamison Crowder? He'll provide a lot of stability into a wide receiver room that really doesn't have a lot of stability right now. It's by far our worst position. So it is good to get some nice stable floor pieces. At 168, we are really, really hoping no quarterback's been touched since Tua at pick 122. So I was actually right on the quarterbacks not coming off the board. It's just this guy made me look like a fool with this Tua pick at 122. But I'm assuming, I mean, a few quarterbacks probably will go off in this range from 150 to 167. But if I could get Daniel Jones, I'd be pretty happy with that. Daniel Jones and then a wide receiver, and then hopefully Deshaun Watson at 192 or 193. Tyrion Davis Price coming off the board at 150. It's pretty interesting to see. I like Tyrion Davis Price. I do. I like Tyler Algier because they are walking into potentially a lot of volume. And with running backs, the main thing that matters is volume. Obviously, talent does matter. That's why you're taking a guy like Saquon higher than you are a guy like Josh Jacobs. But the main thing that matters is volume. If you're getting volume and you're inefficient, sure, you might not be that great. You might not be insane, but you'll still finish. If you get 300 carries, it's impossible for you not to finish as a top 24 running back. Honestly, probably a top 12 running back. It's virtually impossible. If you inherit touches as a running back, you're gonna be pretty in a pretty good situation. And Tyrion Davis Price has that potential. Kyle Shanahan never likes to use the same running backs ever. They drafted Tyrion Davis Price in the third round. Now the draft capital really matters for a team like the 49ers. But I do think Tyrion Davis Price does have the potential to walk into a ton of volume if he does win out the starting role in his first year, which is entirely possible. Kyle Shanahan is a guy who likes to do his own thing. Daniel Jones coming off the board, pick 154, a guy with sneaky upside, does have a lot of rushing potential, and it is also a make or break year for him. If he doesn't absolutely ball out, he's done. I mean, he's done 100%. There's no way Daniel Jones will get a single other snap with the New York Giants if he does not absolutely ball out this year. So he is in one of those make or break seasons. It is his fourth NFL season. He's a guy who does not get a lot of actual throwing touchdowns, but I think a lot of that was actually hampered by the Joe Judge led offense. I mean, Joe Judge looked absolutely terrible. He did two quarterback sneaks, one on second down and one on third down at his own 5 yard line. I mean, come on. We scored 26 points over the last 4 games of the season. How is that even possible? I think Daniel Jones was just in a terrible situation and should be better this year. And that's kind of how I feel about Saquon Barkley as well. I mean, that team just looked absolutely horrendous. They looked like the worst team in the NFL the second half of the season. I think it was deserved firing. But that's why I like Daniel Jones a lot this year. He's working with a lot of very smart people now. A huge upgrade in terms of coaching. Now, here, we're probably going to be eyeing up some more wide receivers here. I mean, it would be nice to get another QB soon. I don't like Mac Jones at all, so I'm glad he's off the board. Probably someone named Zach Wilson. I don't know. Let me check this board out. Jameis Winston's on the board right now. Oh wow. So we'll take Jameis here most likely. Oh my God, Deshaun Watson actually soaring up boards a little bit. I haven't done a mock draft in a couple days. I've been really busy with work. Deshaun Watson absolutely soaring up this board again. There were points where he was going at 205, 206 ADP. Now he's all the way back up at 175. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I just don't really understand why he was falling so far in terms of the fact that if he does play, he can win you a league. There's really no other quarterback in this range that you could say that about. That's why I was hammering Deshaun Watson when he was at that range. I mean, it's just it's really funny, but now it kind of stinks because I was really hoping Deshaun Watson was gonna stay suppressed. I think people started to realize though. People started to realize that they were making a mistake. All right, even though they do have the same bye week, we are going to go Zach Wilson here. Because if Deshaun Watson is suspended 8 games, which, I mean, has to pretty much happen for the pick to work out, then he'll come back week 10 in his first NFL start. I don't know how good he'll be, but that's what he'll do. Let's start up. Oh, shit, I'm up again. I totally forgot. Oh, my God. All right, we're going to go Alec Pierce here. That's really funny. Oh, man. That's actually hilarious. I had to make a panic pick there. That's funny. That's real funny. It's weird having the first pick sometimes because it's like you got to make the back-to-backs, and it's just like, I mean, it's really nice because you get 2 players you want, but then you watch as every single person in this range is scooped up. I don't have another pick for 20 picks. I have to wait 23 picks to pick again, which is the one problem with the first pick and the 12th pick. I think just talking in terms of general strategy, I think it is a little tough with those picks because you're in a position where if runs happen on the board, let's say for instance you're in a super flex league and you're in the third round, you're thinking you're gonna get somebody like I don't know, let's say a Trey Lance, somebody like that, like the 10th or 11th best quarterback, something like that, and then tons of quarterbacks come off the board, and all of a sudden you're left with guys like Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, where you thought you were going to be able to get value. And then you're at a point where it's like, okay, do I reach on a guy to make sure I can either start the run or prevent getting screwed from a run? Or do I wait and just hope that I can get a good player later and just pretty much have your fingers crossed? I mean, that's the philosophy, I guess. And that's why it's so hard at the first pick and the 12th pick. I do think having the first pick is better, and it is cool getting 2 guys in a row. That is one thing I really like, getting 2 guys in a row, because it's like, oh, okay, I can get 2 of my boys. I don't just have to pick once. It feels cool to pick twice. in my opinion. Oh my god, this guy triples up a tight end. Gerald Everett, Noah Fant, and Evan Ingram. We've had a lot of tight ends coming off the board recently. I feel like in the last like 4 rounds, there's been more tight ends than usual. It's kind of weird, but I'll go with it. Um, but I think in the first pick and the 12th pick, it is a little bit tough. It is a little bit tough, honestly, to react to these runs because like you don't know when a run's gonna happen. You never know. Sean Watson comes off the board, that kind of sucks. But you never know when these runs are gonna happen, and you could just get absolutely screwed. And you could also start a run, everything like that. There are pros and cons to everything about the first and 12th pick, but I do think it is. I mean, it still is a better position to be in, especially this year. I think the polls, the ends of the round, the beginning of the rounds, are much better in terms of value you can get than in the middle rounds, with the one exception probably being the 112. Because I think in the 112, from the first round to the second round, I mean, you're getting two great players, but you're not getting that one like standout guy. You know, you'll probably end up just in a redraft league, not best ball, like Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, something like that. Or here in best ball, you'll probably end up. Let's see who this guy took. Travis Kelce and CeeDee Lamb. It's very normal. Joe Mixon, very normal. It is possible, yeah, Devontae Adams falls or Najee. So I would say these 6 guys are really the main guys who could you could pick from pick 12 to 13 that are at least within AP. 184 George Pickens coming off the board. Picking Pickens, always a classic on the channel here. J.D. McKissick, Mark Ingram, Jerick McKinnon. Honestly, a lot of tight ends. I really wish we could have gotten Deshaun Watson. We are probably going to have to take a third QB here. But I do hope, I really looked at this menu at all, this draft. I really do hope either Paris Campbell or KJ Hamler fall. Honestly, I would really, really hope both of them fall, and I just take both of them, just get 9 wide receivers. And then we go with a hyper fragile RB build because we have such talent at the RB position. I really do have a conviction, honestly, like a message from God. I'm not gonna say that, but I really do feel like Chase Edmonds is definitely the starter on Miami. I mean, he's the one who got the bag. He's going up against Raheem Mostert, who I don't think anybody's injury prone, but if anybody were to be injury prone, his name would be Raheem Mostert. Uh, and Sony Michel as his competition. Sure, it is a crowded backfield, but the Miami Dolphins have always ran very, very workhorse oriented offense. I mean, I think it might change a little bit with Chase Evans. I don't think Chase Evans is a full workhorse, but he will be getting a lot of the receiving work in that offense. I think it's pretty fair to say Chase Evans will most likely have 200 carries and let's say 55 targets, something like that, which is very productive and getting him in that range at least. We're going to be taking KJ Hamler here as well. We're taking Paris Campbell. We're taking KJ Hamler. We got 9 receivers now. We kind of need it because our wide receivers are a little weak, so taking 9 of them is probably best. And we just have to hope Carson Wentz falls to us, which would be nice. Because we do have Joe Burrow and Zach Wilson having the same bye, which is a tiny bit annoying. We were kind of just taking a risk hoping Deshaun Watson would fall to us with that. But if not, I mean, it is possible we still end up with Carson Wentz. A lot of these guys do have 2 or 3 quarterbacks each. This guy only has 1 quarterback. Oh, no. I should have looked at that first. Hey, you live and you learn. All right, now that we're basically at the end of the video, Jared Goff, Davis Mills coming off the board here. I would like to announce the giveaway that I mentioned earlier in the video. I think I mentioned it right at the start of the video. But now that you guys have made it this far, you earned it. So I'll be doing a giveaway once I hit 50 subscribers. All you have to do is leave a comment, #bestball in the comments section, and subscribe. And I'm going to be doing this every single video. So each time you leave a comment saying #bestball, you're going to be entered in. You're going to get another entry into the competition. And the competition is to win $50 to Best Ball. Underdog Fantasy, I will give you $50 to Underdog Fantasy to be able to, have a little fun yourself. And we'll figure out the whole like payment details and everything. But for a 50 subscriber special, I will be doing that. So I would appreciate you guys if you just go in the comments, put #bestball. Hashtag best ball, and then subscribe as well. And every time you comment, you will be entered in to win. Also, just side note that won't give you another entry, but if you could leave a like, that would be great too. I mean, that would honestly mean the world. So either way, if you guys would like to know anything else about the contest, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know how I did in the comments as well in this draft. But again, hashtag best ball, hashtag best ball, hashtag best ball. Please enter as much as you like. One entry per video. But you can go back on all my old videos too if you want and enter. I think I have like 20 videos up now, so you can enter on all those old videos too. I think I'll go back and count all those. Just feel free. Go back on every single video. Comment hashtag best ball. Watch all the way to the end too, so you see who I can get. Different strategies. Learn a little bit more about the best ball landscape, underdog landscape. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna make our last pick here. Benjamin coming off the board at 205. I think Benjamin's a guy who has a fair amount of upside because none of these running backs now are really in any position where they can start week 1. Maybe Zamir White if the new coaching staff really is wowed, but I just don't think that's possible. I mean, that's just like maybe a 2% chance. Whereas Benjamin has been rumored to be the backup to James Conner, and if that's the case, James Conner goes down, then Benjamin will be walking into a fairly massive workload. It's the same thing that happened with Chase Edmonds last year. Chase Edmonds goes down, boom, James Conner now becomes an automatic RB1. And I really don't get why James Conner is going as low as he is. I mean, James Conner was one of the best running backs in the entire league last year when he had the workload that he had. Or when Chase Evans went down and he had that workload. We got Benny Snell coming off the board. We're probably going to... We kind of have to take a QB here, but all the QBs are disgusting. So I think we're going to go crazy and take yet another wide receiver. We're going to have 10 wide receivers. And we're just going to, although it sucks, it is kind of annoying to have 2 guys on week 10 bye. For the rest of the season, we won't have to worry about their buys. It's really just week 10 and week 14 we have shitty buys. We have shitty buy situations. But that's okay. I would rather lose 2 weeks. Oh, okay, so both of them just came off the board. We're probably going to take Mitch then. I think Mitch is probably the right decision over any of the rest of these guys. I think Mitch is probably starting over Kenny Pickett, although Kenny Pickett did get drafted 20th overall. I think it's possible. But we pretty much are going to wrap this video up here. Wow, Kenny Pickett's actually projected more than Mitch. We're going to wrap the video up here. The draft is pretty much over. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Every single viewer, every single like, everything. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I really hope you guys have an awesome day. And yeah, just thank you, honestly. I really got nothing more to say. Just thank you guys so much. And I really hope you guys do subscribe and enjoy the channel. And maybe we can end up in a best ball draft together. That would actually be awesome. But anyways, I hope you all have a nice day.